Hey, this is Rob with Mills Creek Services. We're looking at some more LiDAR data that we collected in order to analyze the standing water issue that we have in the backyard here. And one of the things we do as soon as we color the points by change in elevation is look at, what's going on behind the house. So we're at 9 feet of elevation just outside of the back porch. And we, can see in the ditch on the county road here what the elevation is, roughly 6.84. If we look towards the lower point of the property, we're at 6.67 or so. And so this essentially puts us lower than the county ditch in some spots on the property. So the question is, can we build up and drain the water without pushing water to the south? So can we get it over here to the county ditch? And we've also put a contour line in, essentially where the transition begins from the high points around the house into this low area that's holding water. So we want to fill in up to this and then, grade away from, kind of maintaining the slope that's coming off of the back of the houses now and grade away. But the problem is we don't want any water going to the south. So one of the things that we can do and what we suggest to do is to install a berm here, and we can use our software to analyze, this area, what it would take to build up in order to, to capture the water, right? So everything's based off of elevation. So if we look at the elevation adjacent to the berm, essentially the high spot in the neighbor's backyard, we're at 8.24 feet. So if we want to carry that out, our software, we basically tell our software we want this area to be 8.24 feet throughout. And then, it performs a cut and fill analysis. And then in this case, it tells us that we need 68 cubic yards of fill dirt in order to fill up this area, right? So that gets us to 8.25 feet. Now, the question is, what about the rest of the yard? How are we going to approach this? So it'd be kind of the same thing. We're going to, do a cut fill map analysis. We're going to build it up to a specified elevation. In this case, we're going to assume that everything's going to be level. And that's kind of a worst case scenario because we know that we're going to have it slope down. So we're going to tie into some of these higher elevations and grade away. And in doing that, we're going to know sort of what, how much fill dirt we need in this area. And this cut fill analysis tells us that in order to fill this up and have a slight slope away, we need 347 cubic yards. So we're able to calculate the combination of these two. When we go to the site, if we're hired to do the job, we can lay out elevations, predefined elevations. And so we're essentially, just working based off of our grade stakes that we'll set out. The other thing though is, if the water's draining down this way and it hits this berm, what's going to happen, right? So we don't want it to just stand along this berm. So something that we're going to end up doing is installing a couple of catch basins, basically in a series. So we'll have one in the neighbor's property and 2 or 3 along the homeowner's southern property line. And then we can take advantage of this low spot that's already existing that basically just barely separates the county ditch from the homeowner's property. So we can just trim this out a little bit and our outflow pipe will go in here. And that'll be done after the final grade and the berm is built. So this sort of thing, as soon as the berm's in, we're going to want to sod it. So we, provide erosion control. We're going to get a county site work permit, and we're also going to put, silt fence around any of these areas so we can, while we're working, keep any of the dirt maintained. But yeah, so we're able to calculate the fill dirt, and in this case, we're looking at somewhere around 25, maybe 30 loads at the max. This customer had somebody else out who eyeballed it and said, you need 50 loads, right? So, one of the things we pride ourselves on is we definitely don't want to guess. We want our customers to, be able to budget appropriately and know what they're getting themselves into for every scope of work that we're, involved with. You can hire us as a consultant and we can work with you, through the project. You can hire somebody else to do the site work, and we can send over as much data as you want and information as you want. The other thing too is if you've got a water problem, this is a situation where fill dirt's going to really help us. But there's a lot of situations where the house may not be very built up, and adding fill dirt might create a worse problem and basically a negative slope draining back towards the house. So before you get started and spend a lot of money in different directions, my recommendation would be to have us come out as a consultant, fly your property, analyze the points that we collect on the ground, and then really go from there as far as planning goes. I think it'll save a lot of people a lot of money in the long run. I've been seeing some pretty crazy water issues throughout Nassau County and Northeast Florida. So I think before anything's done, we can certainly help save some money. That's the goal if we're doing consulting, is we want to try to save you more than you might spend in the long run. So give us a shout, and we'd be happy to come out, fly it for you, bid the work, and help you out in any way we can. Thank you.